This is The Art of Startup War, and I am your host, Brian McMahon. I am the sensei here at Expert Dojo, the fastest growing startup accelerator in Southern California. Now, in the first 2 seasons, we answered your questions about how to find investment for your business. We brought in the most accomplished investors in startup in America. You can find it on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Now, here in season 3, we're flipping the script. We're going to hear real stories from entrepreneurs who are in the trenches today. In these episodes, we're going to take our guests through the storytelling model called the entrepreneur's journey. We'll hear about what sparked their call to entrepreneurship, help they received along the way, forces they overcame, dark times and revelations. So join us every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Start the week a smarter entrepreneur. Good morning. It's Tuesday. It's 10 o'clock. I'm here with a great entrepreneur, a great buddy of mine, someone I've known for a long time, someone we've actually put investment into because we believe this company is so friggin' phenomenal. It is my good friend, Henry.
Good morning, Brian. Thank you for having me.
Hey, buddy. I love the way we say good morning when it's kind of moving out till afternoon because we're so in the moment, right?
It is morning for whoever went to sleep at 6 a.m., worked all night.
It will be morning all day. We're in a fridge, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Man, we go back.
Yeah, we do. And, it's been a great experience, and I'm glad we met. You're part of a lot of things that I'm doing. So, I think our future is kind of interlaced at this point.
We're friends that was born out of definitely respect from me on my side. I always talk about you being a great CEO, and especially the company that you're running right now. But there are so few people in the world who can design truly exquisitely beautiful things. And that whole, I think you and me spoke about Yossi Vardi, who is that great angel over in Israel who'd invested in like 85, 90 companies, and 35 of them went through to exits. And he always said that the thing he looks for right at the beginning, other than execution and maybe other than scaling, but the thing he really looks for is an incredibly exquisite human-centric experience that makes everything so simple and beautiful that everybody just wants to use it. And very few people have that particular talent, but you do.
I think for me as a technologist, I always look for the human connection between anything that I do. So yes, it's technology and it has to be technical and all that good stuff, but the user is a human being with limitations or abilities, and whatever you make, they are the end users. So if you're going to design something that is just for an engineer that is extremely technical, cool, keep it in your house. But if you're about to design something or build something that is for the masses, you need to understand who's on the other side. And this is the way I build things and I design things, from one human to another. With all the technicalities on the backside, nobody needs to know how that works. But the front need to be very user-friendly, very modular, and beautiful, of course.
And do you have a formula for how you do that? Inside your head, is it like a beautiful mind where you've got all of these ways that you go and then it ends up in this beautifully paved super highway that just goes to success? Or do you very carefully plan out that user experience from the beginning?
It's kind of a vision. So everything starts from a brand. So once I understand my brand,
how would you describe brand for those who are listening? Because I think it's a very overused word, right?
It is. And a lot of people throw around that word without understanding that it's not as complicated, but it's very important because it's the backbone and the base for everything that you do. If you don't have a brand, you can have an amazing product, but people will not resonate with it. So for me, a brand is colors, logo, fonts, feel and look of what you're about to make. For me, that's the beginning of every journey of every company that I've ever built. And when I take that experience, I start working from there. Once that's set, it defines the path of the current product that I'm about to build. And then when I get into the actual user experience, so where everything is, the flow chart that will take you from one place to another. It's kind of funny to say it, but I always think of my mom, God bless her. She's 72 years old, and she's not super technical, but she can handle an iPad really well. And I always think, I need to design something that she would feel comfortable and not call me, hey, how do I do this?
Yeah.
If the design fits her abilities, I've succeeded. Yeah. And I actually let her try stuff.
My mom's just got an iPad. This is so real for me right now. Yeah. How do I turn it on?
And it's a problem, I think. If somebody needs to ask you how to operate something, it means the design was not correct or needed to have a little bit more thoughts. And I'm not saying that your potential user is always over the age of 60, 70, not technical. But if you master that, you get everybody else.
I agree with you. So let's talk about Carbon Phone. Carbon Phone is the current company. I'm going to go back in a few minutes and look at some of the other incredible companies that you've built. But Carbon Phone for me is something which is this is like the search for the lost tomb of Tutankhamun, right? I mean, everybody has wanted to solve this problem for the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
But you've approached it head on and you're solving it.
So 2.5 years
we should just finish the podcast here, right?
It's pretty awesome.
Like, what?
Listen, it's exciting. It's really exciting. Even for me, that I came up with the idea and all this. I have great developers that are building it. I'm not the only one that did all the work. So I owe them a lot of respect. But we all been in a situation where we lost our phones, broke our phones, didn't have our phone. Now, for me as an entrepreneur, my phone is my entry point. I mean, it's no longer where everybody.
It's your life.
Yeah, it's not just a place where you get phone calls. It's like the text messages can be business oriented, so it's important. Your emails, your apps that manage you. I mean, think about this. If
I actually lost my phone about 4 months ago, and I didn't know how to get home.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know how to get home because I had no...
We should get you like a little necklace with an address. Hey, can you help me?
For real. I didn't know how to get home. My Lyft and my Uber are both on my phone.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know where to get a bus, or if there even is a bus. I definitely don't know how to get a taxi. I mean, I haven't seen one of those in 10 years.
Well, obviously, it shows that you're not from here because you were looking for a bus. But so... that's what happened to me. I was in China working on a project, and as soon as I got to China, I couldn't find my phone. I left it in a suitcase that I left in the hotel, and I went to a meeting, and I was like, I couldn't get my GPS to know where I go to the meeting, and I couldn't call the people that invited me to those meetings to come and pick me up. I needed to travel another 45 minutes back to the hotel. And on the way, I passed next to an electronics store, which is obviously everywhere in Shenzhen. And I said, I'll buy a $60 phone right now if I could get the phone numbers out of it, right? And this is where it clicked in. If I can make any phone to be my phone, then I won in this little war. Now, you need to understand my state of mind in the past couple of years as a hardware designer is... I believe we need to have less hardware, more software.
Right.
So if we're jumping into
I just say, right, why?
Because there's too many things you need to charge. People don't really pay attention to the fact, but when you design a hardware piece, the first thing you need to calculate is energy.
Right.
So we are slave to the battery that is in any device that you make. And I've thought about that factor so many times that I'm thinking the future need to have less devices that I need to charge every night, less things that I need to slave myself for, right? And the device that I am putting my effort into and I'm keeping in place need to be able to do so many things, but also everything else that surrounds me need to be able to serve me because I'm the creator, not the device. So if we get to a point that you give too much value and too much attention to something that you created, then you reversed the roles in this planet. And I think this is where we need to take a step back. And this project really takes control over any hardware device around you, even if it's not yours. And that's the beauty. So let me just explain what Carbon Phone does so people would understand. In any situation where your phone is not with you, you can take anybody's phone, computer, iPad, anything that is connected to the internet and make it your phone. You'll have through the platform, it can be an app or a web platform that you can open up and log into your phone with 4 levels of security, so it's extremely secured. and you see your phone log, your phone book, your text messages. You make phone calls and receive phone calls as if you are on your actual GSM TDMA phone. Sweet. No limitations of where you are in the world. So let's say you traveled and it's not an emergency. You can, like me, when I go to China, I put my Chinese SIM card, so you can't reach me on my American phone number, right? But if I had the app put on my phone, over the app, I will get my American phone calls and text messages as if I'm still in the U.S. with no regards to my operator in the U.S. So wow. No roaming, no nothing. That's it. I'm on my own little planet called Carbon Phone now that has no connection to anything that I've bought or pay for. That's it. I'm free. It's true freedom.
So we're talking about, oh my goodness. Oh, okay. So firstly,
yep. How
incredibly difficult must this have been to build?
So, like I said, 2.5 years ago, I came up with the idea, and I came to my team. I'm like, guys, this is what I want to build. They hate to say we can't do it because it did result in the past with people get fired. So they were gently saying, why don't you focus on something else?
Yeah. Well, and also, I think being Israeli, I mean, you know that I speak extremely highly, not just of the 8200, but just of the entrepreneurial skills of Israelis in general. I think it's the greatest nation for startups in the world by 100 million miles. And I think a lot of that has to do with exactly what you just said there. We're going to do this. Like, it may take us 5 minutes, it may take us 500 years, but this has got to be done.
Yes.
There is no impossible. There is no can't. There is no I don't know. There's just I'm going to find out.
Yeah. The military does embed that in you, where there is no can't do. Don't even think about it. It's not an option. It means you just didn't find the way yet. And if you're blocking yourself at the beginning thinking, oh, it's going to be hard, then don't even try because you've already, failed. For me, when any idea come up to my head, I get a puzzle that is over my head in 3D where I see parts and pieces of code that I know that can work. I mean, I am realistic within the boundaries of technologies that I'm learning every day.
Before.
Yeah.
Built each time.
Yeah, I've built so many things, and I've been around development for so many years. So I know what is possible, and I'm always educating myself. I'm always reading more. I'm always learning. So I know what's possible and what's not. And I do a lot of research all the time. Like it's part of my daily chart to do research. So when I sit down with the team, I am there to listen. I'm there, and the more they come up to me with issues, the more solutions I find for them.
Right.
Engineers are taught to think in a certain way. They studied in school, and they're bound to certain limitations that they believe that are possible or not. I'm able to expand those by giving them more ways to think. And I think that's what makes me and my team so successful, that we're able to kind of open up areas where for a well-taught engineer is impossible. I can come up with ideas from completely different industries and drop it into the table and say, okay, so let's use this. And I know it's not related to anything you studied and anything you've ever done in your life. But if we put this in this, we might be able to find another way, a completely different bridge to the future of what we're looking for. And it worked. It took us, I put over, at the beginning, I put about $30,000 of my own money. Yeah. In about 2 years, of a small team that was dedicated to find a solution. And every other month it'd be like, okay, I think we found something and we failed. I think we found something and we failed. And then January this year we had a breakthrough.
And by the way, I remember even before that, when you and I were talking, and I remember speaking to our fund manager here, Alex, and Alex is very strong on due diligence and very strong on checking code and making sure everything works. And Alex said to me, but Brian, we don't have proof that this will work. And I'm like, dude, it's Henry, okay?
Thank you.
So if it's Henry, he's going to build it. And you fit into this area which nobody else fits into, because you can't, especially as an accelerator, we can't go blindly into projects. But there was never a doubt in my mind, even though I had seen companies try to fix this problem 5, 7, 10 years ago, and maybe the timing wasn't quite so right, or they weren't as brilliant as you, and those companies had spent tens of millions of dollars and wasted it. I knew that a small $50,000 investment by us would be the wisest investment we ever made.
Yes, and I thank you for that. Yeah,
well, you can thank me for making us rich, because you're going to make us wealthy. My wife will be thanking you for the first time.
You know,
but I knew, Henry. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. We always have this conversation about CEO versus incredible designer. Designer for me is not the guy who draws the picture around it and makes it look really nice. Designer is the guy who makes the Ferrari sound and look and hum and drive the way it drives when it's finished. And I had never had a doubt that you were going to be able to build and design an incredible product that will wow the world. And I still don't.
Yeah, thank you. So, like I said, you guys jumped in an early stage. I came to you and I said, "Hey, it works," and you're like, "I want it," and I was so happy to have you as a partner on this, and we went to work. Right now we're in March, and we have a working demo.
In only just a few months.
Yeah. And so that's it. Now we're working on all the security part of the platform, making sure that it's super secure. It's easy for people to log in from any platform, because you understand, you'll be able to take your smart TV and make it your phone. You'll be able to make anything. So there's a lot of different type of platforms that we need to design and test. We're aiming for May. We had amazing meetings with a few really large conglomerates that would want to have access to the technology once it's done. So this is a fast track kind of a platform. For me, I would never go and talk to investors on any project before I know it works. I don't like to come with fantasy projects to anybody, because I've been in this game for so many years and I've seen companies just be like, "Yeah, I have an idea." I'm like, "Good for you." An idea is great if you know how to build it and if you know that you can make it happen. And I mean, I just watched the HBO
Theranos or Fire Festival?
No, the Theranos.
Theranos is awesome. I'm actually listening to the podcast right now. Oh my God.
And you know what? On one hand, you can see the pain. On the other hand, I saw a visionary. And whether I'll tell you where the problem was. The problem was when she continuously raised money, knowing that the problem.
Yeah.
If at the beginning she was a visionary that had an amazing idea, yeah, absolutely. Do I support what she did at the beginning? Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Was it right for her to continue raising money knowing it's impossible? That's where the problem started. I think every entrepreneur, the right entrepreneur, has to have some fantasy in a way. I mean,
and Fire Festival is very similar, right? Even though Fire Festival, the guy was not an actual event organizer,
he had a great vision.
He had a great
but
vision.
But when he knew that it's impossible, he should pull the plug. You have to have integrity when you do what we do.
Yeah, good for you.
You have to, and the integrity is important on so many levels, because it's not that you're going to finish this project and nobody knows that you exist. That's first. Also, you have your personal morals of, if I always see myself in the shoes of the investors. I always treat investors' money as if it's my own money, because it was me in the past. And not so long ago past, I was an investor for other projects. So I know the emotional and the value of cash. It's not that I look at it as like, okay, it's fantasy money, and if it ends, it ends, and hey, I'll never see him again. I don't see it like that. My name is the most important thing, and I am planning to be here for a while. So your reputation is your most important, and it's important to build a relationship also with the people you do business with. And there's respect and all this, and I treat them as family, because you're giving me your money. We are in bed together. That's it. This is the way I see it. So. Yeah, the movie was kind of interesting as far as like thinking from one entrepreneur to another, but integrity it has to be there. It's without it you have nothing.
But the greater point is like dare for greatness.
Yes,
like reach for something which because
there's no innovation without it.
Imagine how much carbon phone is going to help everyone. I mean, how many people travel? Everybody travels. How many people lose their phone? Everybody loses their phone.
I get at least one text or email a day from a friend that knows me, and they're like, man, I just lost my phone. I needed your platform. When is it launching? And this is in the past 2 months, and I can tell I already have, over 100 emails and texts of saying, what you told me when you told it to me, I was like, okay, I don't know when I'm going to use this. And today I needed it. Each and every one of us goes through this scenario where your phone is not next to you and be like, I need to get a phone call. It's like, think of parents with kids in college when your kid is telling you, I went to a party, I forgot my phone at my friend's house. For them, it's a game, and it's like, I didn't talk to my parents, so what? But for you, 24 hours or 48 hours that your child didn't, that you couldn't reach your kid or it's like as my mom tells me, I live outside of my country for 18 years, right? And still, if I don't answer my phone for 2 days, she's like, I'm about to jump on a flight and come by. And you'd be like, Mom, come on, you kidding me? So there's a relationship between a parent and a child that I think this platform can bridge and create a safety net. And think of businesses. You have employees. If you're paying a sales team to do sales, and your sales rep that you're paying, I don't know, 6 figures a year is telling you, I couldn't take phone calls today because my phone broke. How much money did you lose today?
Yeah.
He can jump on any device and continue his work no matter what, if his work phone or personal phone doesn't exist. So there's so many practical scenarios. Also, I mean, one of the.
But it's not even about losing your phone. I mean, literally, I'm in the podcast chair for the next couple of hours. I could have somebody in Ohio log into my phone, take calls while I'm in the podcast, and actually then just deal with the calls as if he were me.
Right, outsourcing. Right, exactly.
There are no limits to where it can go. I want to bring us in about 5 or 10 minutes towards where this is going to go to. What is the potential?
Right.
What size can this company get?
Yes,
but can we bring it back a little bit into your background? Because we haven't touched that much on it.
Sure.
And kind of what made you what you are today. Start with maybe a tiny bit before the entrepreneurial side, and maybe some of the phenomenal endeavors that you've been on before Carbon Phone.
So I spent 3 years in the military. I've built and designed cool gadgets and products. I was in a technical team, and that was the backbone of many things that I've done after. I moved to New York when I was 20, almost 22, 21 and change, 6 months after I finished my service. And in New York, I met this amazing family, Italian family, that brought me in to do a little graphic presentation for them for a project for the city, a potential project for the city. And I love to learn, so I studied the entire material, which looked like a little cupboard packed with books and paperwork that they've been working on for 6 years. And I became the head of a development team for a recycling system for New York City.
Oh, my God.
2 months later, I led the team, a whole engineering team that developed a new recycling way for the city of New York. And it gave me the fast track to the American dream and how the system works here. People were making fun of my accent at the beginning because I was doing presentations to the sanitation department in New York, which means you have a lot of over 50.
That gets you a lot of dates.
Yeah. And, back then I had a ponytail and a yellow G-Shock in a suit that looked 3 times my size. So it was pretty funny. I love to learn, and I'm not afraid of trying new things or drop into new industries that I've never been before. I don't have that way of thinking of, I've never done this, so I don't want to touch it. Au contrary, I've never done this, let's study it. And from that, I spent almost 3 years on this project. I moved to California because I couldn't take the cold anymore. And city of New York, they shut down the project because nobody cares about recycling and the environment, which I really fell in love with the concept of helping the environment back then as a young kid when I realized that nobody really cares and it's just like a marketing stunt for the city. You start thinking about the world and people and money in a different way. You're still young. You still think, there's hope to this planet. Maybe there is. I think that corporations, politics is way more powerful than many other things. But
I believe the only way you can break through is with startup.
Yeah, it's true. Today we have the power to make noise and
change anything.
Yeah.
But only from here. We can't do it against big corporations.
No.
We can't do it in lobbying. We can't do it in government. They're all a waste of time. But through startup and building,
and also personally,
like,
and I was like,
companies,
each one of us individually can do their own in their own little world and try to put their mark on this planet in a positive way, and that's the way I live. So from there, I moved to I moved to California. I started a digital tech company that designs hardware for the security world. So high-end security systems, smart homes, and from there, the company shifted into a full-scale investigative agency because it worked along. You have the same clients. If you're designing a full security system for somebody, usually they have issues they want to deal with. So the company grew after 3 years to a international
beautiful.
Security company that also provides investigative services. 2006, I decided to let go of my security life or past. It was part of kind of finishing up with a part of my life that had the military in it and that type of life. And I decided I want to get into more a creative side of myself. Sold my part in my company to my amazing partner. And moved forward into something that started as a joke and became 100,000 pieces of furry laptop covers.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I had a friend over, and his girlfriend said, it would have been so cool if I had fur on my laptop. And I was looking at her, and I'm thinking to myself, very interesting idea. Went downtown, got some fabrics, cut them out. It was a therapy for me, creative therapy, $600,000 of therapy.
And, reminds me of that part of get him to the Greek, where you just like the wall, don't leave the wall.
So Lap Style, that was the name of the brand. I did everything. I designed the product, did the packaging, and I kind of got the fast track into building products from scratch. Even though with the security company, I had my private line of cameras and microphones and all this that I did in China. So I already had experience in manufacturing, but it wasn't for mass market. It was for my own clients. So here I needed to deal with how do I make a product that is for everyone kind of a deal. And we won some awards, which I was surprised. And we took it to Impact.
I like that. There should be a furry laptop cover award.
Yeah. Well,
for top furry laptop innovator of the year.
Jay Leno did a spot on my cover.
No way.
In 2007.
Did he?
Yeah, it was on TV. And then I did and then I decided, we're ready. We need to have a nationwide TV commercial. So I directed and produced a nationwide TV commercial for the product. And it was throughout Christmas 2007. It was on TV. And it was a fun process. And we made some money, which was good. And that's it. After that, I'm like, okay, I found what I want to do. I want to continue developing products and doing things like that. So let's skip to 2011. 2011, after tinkering with the entertainment industry a little bit, I decided that live streaming is becoming a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
On the spot, on the fly production is becoming something and more production companies are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So I took my experience in the military and designing security systems and invented the world's first portable broadcasting suitcase.
Beautiful.
So the Suitcase is a 40-pound foldable suitcase. 2 monitors come out, a joystick. It looks like something that you can launch a nuclear bomb from it. But you can push to satellite or to live stream directly from the suitcase up to 16 full HD robotic cameras that can all be controlled with a joystick. And it was really a state of the art. Everything was handcrafted. I had production companies. Actually, I went to Dublin and had G4. The TV network bought a system. They're
cool.
They're shooting the hurling. How do you guys call it?
Oh yeah, hurling.
Hurling,
well,
yeah.
We call it the beat the shit out of everybody else on the field with a wooden stick game.
There you go.
Yes.
I never knew about the game until I got there.
It's the most vicious game in the world.
So they're shooting with 16 cameras on the field without a truck, straight to the suitcase and pushing it to viewers because you can do your live switching directly from the suitcase. So it was every system was handcrafted, I mean, I did well, and that system actually saved me in a time of 2010, 11 was kind of a recession.
Yeah.
And it gave me, every invention that I have is kind of a baby, and I have a relationship with it. So that invention really saved me and brought me back from not too successful 2008 that some ventures didn't fly. But yeah, 2011, 12, I got my new Air back, and the system did well, and I sold my patents for that. 2014, I came up with a bigger idea, or more a mass market idea. And I worked with the Apple team in China and created the only phone case in the world that adds memory to any iPhone. 128 gig memory, full battery, wireless charging.
And this is where we connected, right?
Yeah,
Exquisitely designed, incredibly functional, and actually provides like all of those gaps in the phones that we're actually missing. And you somehow managed to convince Apple to do it with you, which is incredible.
Oh, they hated it at the beginning. Just the idea of adding memory to an iPhone for them was a problem, because their marketing strategy is, hey, we want you to buy a new phone. If you're lacking memory, come into the store and we'll buy a new phone. So it took a lot of convincing and legal stuff that needed to play out. And then eventually I found loopholes and loopholes and submitted 27 times, 27 rejections, 26 rejections. And then the 27th one, they're like, okay, here we go, done. You got your approval. Just leave me alone and go make the product. And it was nice.
What I love about all of this is like there's almost let's leave aside the brilliance, let's leave aside the design. There's almost this equal, harmonious relationship between this drive to create something absolutely new that's never existed in the world before, and also an acknowledgement that a perseverance beyond what's possible for most people is going to be required. It's just really weird though, as it develops, and I know this from you anyway, but even for people listening, like the things you're talking about, which is really a 15-year entrepreneurial journey, and what you have to go through, like just to design and build one company on its own is incredibly hard. To go through 3, 4, 5 companies, to build, to design, to make it your baby, to bring it through to a success, and then to move on to the next one is phenomenal. And there's no jadedness built into it. The opposite. It's almost like it's a new heroin injection for the next one.
Well, it is an addiction. It is. I'll tell you this. Innovation is addiction for me, and I take a lot of pride in my innovation. I will never put my effort into something that I do my research and I'll find somebody else working on, because then I can't. It would be somebody else's pride for me. I'll never take credit for anything that somebody else did. I will always put all the effort to create something that is new, or solves a problem that I believe that many people deal with. That's what drives me.
Cool.
I'm a solution-based kind of a personality, So I like problems because I know I can solve them. I see the problems in a way that it's a puzzle that I enjoy putting together, even if it's what looks like a mess or overwhelming for others. For me, is encouragement. I don't get overwhelmed. I get driven. So you drop 10,000 things on my head, I'll organize them. You can come tomorrow and pick whatever color you want. So it's the way I think. But
I like it. I wanted to make the observation.
Yeah.
Let me
just one more thing I want to say.
Yeah?
I think as myself as an innovator and a technologist, the way I see the way I describe myself, I'm 39. I was here before the first computer, like actual, PC computer that you can buy and have at your house. I was there before the phone. I was there when beepers were hot. I had the first phone in my hand when I was 16, when the battery was 3 hours and the connector would break on you after 6 charges. I was there when Facebook kicked out. I was there when all this era of technology changed the world. We have responsibility, and this is the way I see it, to design and shape the future. People like me that been in tech and been there before everything, we know that there's the new generation that the young generation, that for them a phone is so obvious and a computer is so obvious. And as a matter of fact, a Nintendo Switch that they hold in their hand, that's the most obvious thing that they need to have. They need to have that in their life, So for us, there's a responsibility to shape and design the future so we'll have a better future. And we have responsibility to them to have a better life and design things that would give them a social life a little bit more. And so when we're talking about entrepreneurship and development, for me, that's also a driving mechanism where I always think of how can I make the world better, knowing what it was before and knowing what it's going to be in the future.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, last couple of minutes. I want to take us back to the future.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Carbon Phone is pretty much built.
Yep.
We know that bad news, good news. Bad news is there's no more investment before the product is going to be built. Like, the investment has come in, the phone is being built within the next 3 months. Good news is there's still an opportunity for early stage investment once we at least have the demo out and once we have the early results back from that.
Yeah, so we raised funds on a certain valuation when we started the project. When it was me saying, hey, I have this thing, I'm telling you it's work, believe me. So that was the firm. We raised $150,000 on that note. Now we have a working demo where I can just be quiet and tell you, hey, log in, try it. So it's a different valuation now, but it's still not at a point where it's impossible to jump in. We're looking for good investors, not just money, people that we like to have on board. Relationship is first in anywhere. We had, I have offers from funds that I just don't like. So relationship is very important. Integrity again. So,
and domain expertise would be helpful too,
absolutely.
Right? People
strategic
in the telecom
partners.
Space.
Yeah.
Come on in.
So,
and then how do you see the roadmap developing over the next 2-3 years?
So first version is launching in May, full on iOS, Android, and web.
Boom.
So you don't really need to have a phone. You can open up any browser and log in. If you are on a phone, just download the app. But the way we see it from May, we are going to crank out around 100,000 users for the platform. We had meetings with guys at Ubreak iFix, which is one of the largest chains in the United States for fixing phones. They fix about 2.6 million phones a year.
Get out of here. Wow.
So with them, we're going to make them heroes, considering that when you bring your phone for repair, the first thing that you tell them is, when can I come pick up my phone? I need to run my business. I need to be able to be reached. With our platform, they're going to be able to give access to people's phones remotely and get off that pressure from their back of fixing the phone fast. It's not that they're going to fix it slower, but it's natural that somebody would be like, okay, well, at least I have my phone available to me, even though the actual device is not on me. Same thing, we're going to cut deals with Best Buy, Staples, that also do phone repairs and other. So a sales team is going to push that. It's the easiest and fastest way into market to capture users,
of course,
considering that we're not trying to get one by one. It's more like in the masses. So I like that marketing strategy that we have. So, I mean, the price of acquisition today per user is ridiculous. So we kind of solved that problem going into market at a minimum budget to obtain market share.
And when do you see us going for a Series A?
Probably in August. August, we're going to be raising Series A.
August of what year?
Oh, this year. Yeah,
I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, yeah, of course this year.
You're a beast.
And it's going to be so obvious when you'll see the numbers of users. They're going to be such a huge PR behind it. We've opened the conversation with Amazon already for the Alexa. So we opened the conversation with law enforcement, the FBI, to create a platform specifically for them, considering that every investigative case they have need to have its own phone number, and they have burner phones. So with my ties and the idea, so we've already opened up the conversation for them to have a platform specifically for them. So there's civilian use, military use, and of course corporate. So there's a few funnels that will all go down to the code that is patented that we created There's a unique logarithm that started this whole thing, and that's where the patent is. We're going to use that to break into multiple industries in the same time.
And for strong user growth.
Yeah. So we're looking at a 24 to 36 months max for an exit for this one. We're going to build this right and push it forward. That's the goal. That's the plan.
It's pure software. So you've moved into a pure software place. Simple,
it's
easy.
So relaxing.
It's so easy, right?
I've managed inventory before. It's a headache. So it's such a relief. It's almost like for others, when I talk to people working on software, I'm like, you don't even know what it means to handle inventory. Yeah. So it's
nothing not working, no checking 400 boxes to see if 2 of them are working. Look, I think everyone who's listening right now gets it. And hopefully everybody understands why, for me, this was even a no-brainer before I saw the product. Now that I'm hearing and I know where we are and I know what the roadmap looks like, I just go to bed smiling every single day. I want you to be able to give out your details to everyone so people can contact you, investors and providers and everybody who's interested. But just before we do that, be one piece of advice that you would give throughout your entrepreneurial endeavors that for you helps craft an entrepreneur that has the greatest chance of success.
Be innovative, but be honest with yourself first. If you can be honest with yourself, you'll be able to be honest with your investors and anyone you'll pitch your project. You're not going to be thinking too much when you pitch your project.
Yeah.
Because you're not fooling anybody with a fantasy that is impossible.
Yeah, good for
But
you.
also, don't break. Don't stop and don't give up. That's it.
Beautiful. I love it. And how can everybody contact you, Henry?
Email is very simple. It's Henry, HENRY, at X, letter X, HENRY.com. So Henry at XHenry. Then you can, I'm sure that you can write a phone number at the bottom of this podcast.
Well, the email's okay because people can catch you by the email. I like that, and it just keeps everybody off your phone.
Yeah.
But it does mean that, look, for you, obviously we all know what the roadmap's going to look like. It's been for me, it's been a dream to be through with you on this journey. We're right at the beginning. It's crazy exciting, and I'm looking forward to everywhere it takes us.
Thank you, and I'm happy that I have you with me on this journey.
Oh.
It's been a great experience, and I mean I should say that being part of the Expert Dojo is something that helps me as an entrepreneur in so many ways. It's more than just like meeting investors and raising funds. It's a community, it's advice, it's ideas, it's somebody that knows what he's talking about on the other side. Because trust me, I've been doing this for many years and I've talked to so many people that have no clue what they're talking about. But working with you and working with your team made the experience, makes this journey that I go through with every invention a smarter journey, which I think for me is very important as an entrepreneur. So thank you so much.
You're gonna make me cry now, you know. That? And that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us. If you love the podcast, please empower your circle by sharing these stories. The Art of Startup War is brought to you by Expert Dojo. And remember, we invest in startups, $50,000 checks. Make sure you apply on our site if you are one of those great entrepreneurs looking to bring your company to the next level. As far as the Art of Startup War is concerned, we are back every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. So remember, check out the new episodes. If you want to find out what the investors think, check out season 1 or 2. But make sure you join us every single week.